Hey guys, Jason Timothy here with musicsoftwaretraining.com, and you're probably watching either on my YouTube channel or my Facebook group. So welcome once again. Today I've got three pretty cool tips for improving your mixes, and they're pretty easy to accomplish. So it's not anything that's super complex. This is something that anyone can do, and it can certainly improve your overall mixes in different styles. So I've been working on some more guitar related music as of late. Still working on electronic music as well, but I thought that this example would work pretty well for this project. So what I've got here is a track that I'm working on. I still need some bass in there, needs some more drums, but there's some like placeholders going on with this track right now. But I've basically been layering guitars. And when you layer guitars, you're layering something that, all the parts have like the same frequency. So how are you going to make sure that everything gets heard properly and doesn't sound all jumbled? So there's a few different things that I've done here that I thought I would share with you. So first I'll just kind of play what's going on here, and you're either going to like it, you're not going to like it, doesn't matter to me, but either way you'll get something out of these tips, I think. So here we go. And you might need some headphones to kind of hear, what's going on. I've got a few layers and I'll show you. And then we just got a simple change that comes up here. Real simple stuff, all right? But I believe effective. So this is these are the way the parts are laid out. I've got this first part here. And then this part here that kind of goes right with it. So if I play these together, all right, and then this is just an extra layer for that first strum to kind of give it a little more impact. No big deal there. And then I have the strumming. Well, actually, no, this is just a little melodic part happening. And just trying to get some of the brightness on the top. Once again, you got to figure out what frequencies you can peak through with other guitars going. And so I did that, but then I did another trick here where, let's see if I can find what's happening here. Yeah, I just turned this up an octave. Let me see if I can turn this up. Almost sounds like a music box or something like that. But I just wanted something a couple octaves higher, just real low in the mix, just to give this sound a little bit more impact. And with headphones on, if I take this out, you can probably notice a difference. Very subtle. Once again, a lot of tips in mixing end up being a lot of little subtle things. So that's one tip there is if you want to enhance something, you can duplicate the track and then either raise it up an octave, in this case 2 octaves, to give just a little bit of brightness over the top, and then just kind of bury it along with this sound, so it doesn't sound like it's overtaking the original sound, it's just enhancing it a little bit. And that can help certain sounds cut through because it just gives it another frequency to be heard at. So it could basically just improve how the mix sounds overall. Okay. Then we have just a strumming guitar here. And here's the thing is, you know, when you have strumming and then you have other parts that are playing at the same time, oftentimes the timing can get a little bit wonky and, you know, it can cause some sort of phasing or just make the song sound like it's not in proper rhythm, right? So what I need to do is kind of hide this part when other parts come in. That way they don't conflict with each other. So what I do is I actually use sidechain compression as a mixing tool. So for example, when this part here comes in, oh, let me when these strums come in and this is playing at the same time, the strumming kind of disappears a little bit. And so the way that I do that is really simple. I just create a sidechain compression, and it's ducking the sound every time the long strum here comes in, right? So as we're listening to this, you'll see when the strum comes in that it's pushing down the gain. See? So that just cleans up the mix. And, you know, here's the thing is the brain doesn't need to hear every single part all the time. It needs to hear the most important part that's cutting through. So when the long strum happens, that's more important than the background strumming. So you're kind of creating a bit of a hierarchy, saying when this sound comes in, this other sound is less important. Same thing could happen like if you have guitars and vocals that are in the same frequency range. When the voice comes in, that's obviously going to be the more important part. So you might want to push the other part down by using a sidechain compressor on the guitar part. And that way you can keep a pretty clean sound throughout your mix. So that's the second tip. And the third one is going to be, let's see, with I think it's this sound right here. Yeah, so with this sound here, I found a frequency where this could cut through without interfering too much with the other sounds, right? So I can do like a little before and after. So before, it's just, oops. And then so it gives it a little more brightness, and I really boosted this up. Normally I wouldn't do this because it can make, you know, guitar sound unnatural, but the way that this is mixed, I think it works. But as opposed to just boosting a frequency I want to be heard, the trick is that I will duplicate this, and I'll turn off everything except for just this boost, right? And then I'll take this and I will reverse it. So I will actually be pulling out that same frequency here and set the Q a little bit so it doesn't over effect. And then I'll drop this, I'll copy this. So I just copy that and then delete it. And then I could come into the other guitar parts. And as you can see, I make a little cut in these ones so that it leaves room for the other guitar part. As you can see, this part's cut as well. So that's the third tip that can really help improve your mixes quite a bit. Is, you know, find an area in something that needs to be heard, and you can make a little bit of a boost. You don't necessarily need a 10 dB boost like I do. In fact, normally I wouldn't recommend that you make that strong of a boost. And yeah, so if you're boosting something, you know, 3 or 4 dB, then on the other parts you can lower that that same frequency by 2 or 3 dB, and you're going to get a cleaner sound, and that sound's going to cut through a little bit more. And so those are 3 ways to improve your mixes. One, by creating a duplicate of a track, and on the duplicate, raising the pitch an octave or 2, and just having that lower in the mix. It's clearly going to sound a little bit unnatural if it's too loud, but you're just going for a little added frequency. So that doesn't matter so much. The second tip was using sidechain compression on the less important part, so the more important part can cut through the mix a little bit better, especially when there's 2 parts that are strumming or playing a rhythm. You don't want both rhythms to be butting up against each other and sounding like they're clashing. So you kind of want one to take precedence over the other, have more importance over the other. So that was the second tip. And then the third tip is to boost a certain frequency on a sound you're trying to get to cut through, and then duplicate that and drop that same frequency by a little bit on the other sounds that might be conflicting with it, so that the sound cuts through. Those are the 3 tips. I hope that helps you guys. I hope you got something out of this, and this will certainly work with your electronic music, because I do this all the time with many of my songs to help things cut through in the mix and just overall sound cleaner. So there you have it. Those are the 3 tips, and I'll be back for more real soon. Take care.